we have people who travel. We have Maori people who travel all the way from New Zealand to Jamaica to become certified. That's how powerful kinetic yoga is, because it inspires people who you would not expect relate to Africa. So there's many native people who consider themselves to be descendants of Africa. And so we don't exclude any of those people. We embrace those people because they know their history. Because Africa and blackness is a global phenomenon. So, again, like I said, my mission is being to spread kinetic yoga. So we do Soul Yoga Fest in Chicago, which is where it started. We started off in Chicago, making a post on Facebook, telling people to come out to the lake and do some yoga. The first time we did it, we had over 100 people come out. And so we have a famous iconic picture of all the 100 people out at the Soul Yoga Fest for the first time on the lakefront. And so Chicago, like many other, in Chicago, there has been many first things begun here, right? Many things have started in Chicago because Chicago is a catalyst point for many movements, many things, that become historical events, many things that actually change the course of history have begun in Chicago. So Chicago is a very powerful place because of the people and also because of its location on the globe, on the earth. The energy field that's related, that relates here in Chicago activates a lot of different things. So kinetic yoga, we started off after we moved out of the sisters' basement on the west side and we started practicing. We went to the South Side Community Arts Center on 38th and Michigan. And that's when we had what we call our temple, or our monastery, because we considered ourselves to be like monks. And we would spend the night there doing yoga all night long, because that's how dedicated we were. Me and another core group of brothers. So, so the kinetic yoga movement is growing. We have never had any support, any coverage from the mainstream, forces in the society, but we always bring 1,000 to 2,000 people out to the Soul Yoga Fest, but they don't talk about it, okay? And so I just want to acknowledge, I know I'm going to miss somebody, but I want to acknowledge everybody here who's a kinetic yoga instructor. Can you please stand up and wave your hand or something like that? All y'all kinetic yoga teachers. These three brothers over here put the thing together, trying to put this thing together. Include them. They've come, those three brothers there, they've come from Seattle, Las Vegas, and Maryland. So a lot of people here have traveled at their own expense to come here, to be part of this. I want to acknowledge Jewel Antoinette Simmons. Jewel Antoinette Simmons. Aretha Franklin, my daughter, Iyabo, Kia, Radhika Time, Hotel Florence, and all the other new names that she got. Kiara, Sinclair, my sister, happy birthday, Nina, stand up. She just turned 29 today. So she's my little bitty baby tiny sister. A lot of people is here. I always forget to say everything and mention everybody. Baba Kwesi Karaboko is here. Master Kwesi of Asari and Kinetic Yoga. I know I'm missing people, but we're going to get to the people who we're going to honor too. So, let me see, what's the next on the agenda? So we're going to bring Sister Africa back, and then we're going to begin our next phase of our program. And I hope everybody comes tomorrow to participate in the free yoga classes. So we have yoga classes starting at 9 o'clock with Rebecca Hubbard. Is Rebecca here? Oh, there you are. Okay, good. Hey, who's that guy next to you? Is that yours? Okay. I got a little story I'm gonna say about that. Okay. Yeah.
You all clap again for Baba Yasir. Anybody that's ever planned a birthday party, a graduation, you know what it takes to put something together. So just imagine a 2-day something together that you've been doing for over 10 years. You ought to clap one more time with Brother Yasir. It takes a lot of work to do this, right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Keep the claps going, because none other than my niece, Sumiana Johnson, is on her way, y'all. Y'all clap it up for one of our youth in the building. She's going to be performing Hey Black Child. Come on, Sumiana, we ready for you. Oh, and her cousin, her first cousin, Khalila Muhammad. Want you to clap for these two sisters. They're doing this speech by one of our honorees. And as they're walking up, they're reminding me of myself, because I used to do this piece too. So I got y'all back, okay? I remember every word. Hey, Black Child, y'all ready? Clap if y'all ready to hear you. Hey, Black child. Hey, Black child. Do you know who you are? Who you really are? Do you know you can be what you want to be if you try to be what you can be?
Hey, Black child. Hey, Black child. Do you know where you're going? Where you're really going? Do you know that you can learn what you want to learn if you try to learn what you can learn?
Hey, Black child. Do you know that you are strong? I mean, really strong? Do you know that you can do what you want to do if you try to do what you can do?
Hey, Black child. Be what you can be. Learn what you must learn. Do what you can do.
And tomorrow your nation will be what you want it to be. Awesome. Hey, Black child. Y'all clap again for our young sisters. Came up here and made that. Now, would you please get ready? We're going to have one of our very own, Rosangela Natalino, is coming to do some kinetic spiritual chants. Won't you greet her as she comes?
Come on up, Rosangela. And Rosangela is our our kinetic yoga leader from the country of Brazil. And for those who may not know, Brazil is a country that has over 100 million black people. And they are undergoing a tremendous black awakening in Brazil. And so because of the efforts of Rosangela, kinetic yoga has grown expansively throughout the country. And she has invited me there several times. And we have about, I know 40, so.
We're gonna double the next training.
Yeah, so we got 60 instructors in Brazil in less than 2 years, okay? And so the reason why I have Rosangela come is because, you know, Brazilian people are very, they have retained a lot of their Africanness. And, you know, when I go to Brazil and I'm doing the training there, and I kind of wake up to come out early in the morning to do the training, they start singing songs to me and doing all kind of different things that, just singing songs, and they're just very musical and lyrical and all this stuff. So, and they have taken it upon themselves to create chants and different songs that we can use in our yoga practice, because, you know, when you do yoga, sometimes there's chanting done and so on and so forth. So I asked her to put together some of the African-based chants, Kemetic-based chants that they do in Brazil.
Thank you. This is my second time in Chicago. Exactly 10 years ago, I was here for the first time to meet the yoga man. That's what I was told in Boston. I was in the patch of yoga, but I didn't know about the origins of yoga in Africa. And my mentor said, just look for the yoga man. And that's when I met Lisa. And one of the gifts that or maybe the biggest gift was the breath. With Kemetic yoga, I learned the power of the breath. And that is the biggest gift I can ever be thankful for. And I'm going to invite everybody to together breathe and sing and expand this breath and this song and this vibration from outside of this room. So the youth, the children, the elders can see us, can look at us and see beauty and see power and see greatness. So that's what we are doing in Brazil, and I'm so thankful for the trust that Jesus have for me to be that person who is growing the movement there, but it won't happen without him. So I'm going to invite our of us to start pay attention on the breath, and we're going to sing a very simple song, or recalco, reci, that says only Ankujasenek is life.
I've got to thank Don Bailey, who's at the Center for Inner City Studies, who used to allow us, when we were organizing back in the day, to use the center. And Don is gone, but we gotta respect that. Baba Jake, when I wrote my first book, I went to Jake and I said, hey Jake, look it over. And Jake went through it, and you gotta be careful what you ask for, because there were points that I missed, and Jake respectfully said, okay, this, that, and the other. So I gotta respect that. Conrad Worrell and I worked together a number of years together, doing all kinds of things, particularly in the Harold Washington campaign. And Conrad and I probably fought more than we worked together. That's a joke. Because we both had strong perspectives. But Conrad did a lot of good work. And here's what's happening. The black community is in a state of siege and distress. And when you're doing community work, that's distressful. So it's not stress, it's distress and duress. And when I'm thinking about the fact, when we were talking, 50 years you've been doing this work. So the KEMETIC yoga structure deserves the award. And here's what I pledge to you. As soon as we get our stuff straight with the university, I'm going to call on you. I'm going to give you an award. I'm going to give Hakeem one. And then I'm going to give the Institute one. This is the stuff that Europeans hate. Because see, yoga, with its meditative form, because I'm a martial artist. Talona was one of my teachers and he taught us yoga. But when the Europeans see you meditate and they see you communicating with the God force within you, or the deepest self, or the cosmos, universe, however you want to frame it, and that your mind now can focus wherever it chooses to focus, then that means you've broken the chain that they depend on to keep us in the situation we're in. You have to have tools when you're talking about struggle. And in my view, yoga and other sciences, but particularly the African people, decided that they did not want the colonialization of the Asian piece, and they decided to develop their own. They went to history and found out that we've been doing this already. There's a lot of things that we've done that other people call it other things. It's just that people have not done the homework. And because they've not done the homework, we're stuck in the same piece. So whatever I take today, I take in respect to the work that you, Doc, and your 6,000 teachers, because that's an accomplishment. And so we have to give it up for this institution. See, I remember in the day, Celine, Hunter, when we talk about institutions, I don't hear that anymore. You know, it's like people don't, our people, and particularly the people who are supposed to be scholars and intellectuals, we don't talk about the building of institutions. Hakeem, with the school that he's developed, he insufficient. And them long years of struggling to get kids in it, keep kids in them, help them grow and develop. If we want serious freedom, or strike that, if we wish to be liberated, then we must have institutions. Go to Bobby Wright's piece on Menticide, where he says, if you create the institutions and it's yours, it's only in time before you conflict with the institutions of the enemy. So people gonna always question, is African KEMETIC yoga legitimate? But the masses of our people understood clearly all over the world, and 6,000 teachers later, that the answer is, yes, it is. It may not be from your perspective, but from ours, it is. So I thank you for thinking about me. I don't really deserve it, but I have to talk about all these people who invested in me. See, we still don't invest in these kids. I remember I had two teachers And I was always into something. And one day they pulled me to the side, they gangster, got me in the corner and said, look, we're going to invest in you. And I couldn't do nothing. Wherever I was, there they were. I said, damn, how am I going to get away from these folks? Do we still invest in our children? Yoga, Tai Chi, breath control, all these things need to be in the school system. In an African school system, why wouldn't we teach them yoga for purposes of development, for purposes of discipline, and for purposes of health? So I'm just saying. See, we have to push the box. That's education. That's not what we get in these institutions. That's one of the answers of why they would not want to do that. And that's why I would say to you, all things are political. When they open up this so-called elected school board, we need to have people who run, who say, for physical education, yoga, meditation. The kids need that. Basketball, they do out in the streets, but they need something that quiets them, steadies them, and teach them how to breathe when they're in the states of trauma. I do trauma. And so one of the things you learn in doing trauma is what? Breath. So on behalf of the community who I accept this award with, and all the people that's in my line and lineage, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I want to thank my brother Oluminji for accepting his award, even though he feel like he doesn't deserve it, but he really does deserve it. And for everybody listening, I have to tell a little backstory, see, because I'm a little bit older now, but I met Brother Oluminji a long time ago when I was around 15, 16 years old. And they had an institute in Chicago called the Topographical Center. Anybody remember the Topographical Center? And it was a place where young people went, like myself, out of the projects, to get political education, to get social education, to get cultural education, to find out how things worked. When you walked into the Topographical Center, they had maps of all the United States and all the parts of the world, and they had graphs showing all the different little schemes and stuff that the system was doing against black people. And they taught us all of these different things. And I always remember going there, but I didn't remember, anybody personally from there. Until about 3 years ago, I was speaking at a presentation, and it dawned on me that Brother Oluminji was one of the teachers at the Topographical Center. And the Topographical Center, it had a profound influence on my development. I don't think I would be quite the same person I am now if I had not gone to the Topographical Center. Okay, so it was a very powerful experience. And so in recent times, I've been working with Brother Oluminji. He's got me to write a chapter for a book that he's putting together. And I called him the commander because he commanded me to write this chapter. And I wrote it faster than I've ever written anything. I've been working on the book for 20 years, and I got this chapter out in 30 days. I was working, I was like typing. I didn't get sleep for like 4 days. So I'm really glad that I'm able to interact with this brother, and we can joke and talk and signify with each other, you know, and you know, he's one of my master teachers from way back in the day. So thank you, brother.
You having a good time? Say yay, Bo. It's something else when you get to bear witness to greatness, right? Hearing those stories and reminiscing of the, how do you say it? Topographical center. I wish I was there. Our next honoree. They all need no introduction. We're going to have some balance here. This is a sister that definitely needs no introduction. Yaounde Olu. Won't you join us, sis?
And while Sister Yaounde Olu comes up, let me say that she is one of the foremost, I hope I'm saying everything right, because I put things in my own terms, but she's one of the foremost metaphysicians, which is a person who has an understanding of both science and spirituality from a combined perspective. She is an artist of profound dimensions. Her art is on exhibit many places, everywhere. And she is also a musician. So she does music. I think she has a group of ladies who are percussionists. Is that correct? Okay. They're called the Drum Divas. Okay? And so, Sister Yaounde, she's been a friend of mine for a long time. She decided to invite me to be on her cable TV show that was called Astro Point 2000. Okay? And so we used to sit there and we have these very profound conversations about yoga and metaphysics and science and all these different things, spirituality. And so she is a very profound person who's had a tremendous impact just on, she's also an astrologer. Okay, so you can do your chart. Even though astrology is much more than that. It's understanding the whole science of the nature of the universe and how things happen and how they manifest. Yes. So I want to present this award to my sister, Yaounde Olu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay. I was afraid that I was going to come behind old Reggie. Such eloquent words. I am so, first of all, humble, surprised, grateful for this award. I mean, I'm flabbergasted. So I appreciate you so much. And what's interesting about it is that I'm receiving this award from an institution and from a person who is creating the institutions that we're talking about. This is awesome what you're doing. And so if I had to receive an award, I'm happy to have it given to me by Yasir and his team. And I just want to say that when I was sitting there, I was reminiscing when Oluji was talking. I started out I really have a multiple career track. In fact, quite frankly, this is the truth. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with my life. And by that I mean that I have multiple career tracks, but they all have one focus. And that one focus is that of helping to accelerate the consciousness of those that I come in contact with, especially African people. Especially African people. Everything that I do is geared toward bringing, hopefully, light as well as heat to our struggle. I want to say that right now we find ourselves in a really precarious situation. There are those forces out there, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, there are forces out there that are seeking to destroy us. They're seeking to pull us down. But what we need to understand is that we have the power, and once again, I'm sure I'm speaking to the choir, because when you do yoga, you learn things that you probably wouldn't learn if you didn't do yoga. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you do yoga, you have energies that go through your body that affect your chakras and a lot of other things, so that it helps accelerate you. So what we need right now are institutions like this. I started out years ago as a public school teacher. Well, I started out before then, but I marched with Dr. King. In retrospect, I wonder why I wasn't a Malcolm X person, but I became a Malcolm X person subsequent to that time. But at the same time, with all of the people that you were talking about, Hakeem, all those people, back then I owned an art gallery called Oshun. And because of that, I was able to interface with artists and activists from all over the world that came through my little gallery on 75th Street in South Shore. So it's hard for me to synthesize everything right here for you, but I'll just say that I used the art that I did to bring people together. Right now, some of that is coming to fruition. I have a show, I'm in a show right now, a historic show at the Museum of Contemporary Art. And I'm there with Turtel Only and several other African-American cartoonists that most people didn't realize that we've been doing this movement for a long time, but now other people are becoming aware of it, and they're giving us those props. But anyway, I'm not going to keep on much longer, but I do want to say that one of the most important messages that I have is to understand that you create your own world. You create the world. The propaganda that we have been given is that things happen to us. But the fact of the matter is, we happen to the world. And it's our consciousness and what we do that determines who and what happens in our lives. This is something that people don't really believe. They think it's allegory, they think it's myth, they think it's superstition. But right now, with my interest, I was a science teacher, by the way, all those years, as well as being an artist. And one of the things that I do know, because I still follow science to this very day, they're discovering that the life that we understand through science is getting ready to meet the life that we have in art. In other words, quantum physics is showing us that the world is illusionary, that we do what you see is what you get, that we create the circumstances around us, not the other way around. And I think that one day, when the scientists who are still looking for the grand unified theory, they're still looking for things that will unify us all, I think one day they're going to run into Obatala. That's what I think. I think that they're going to realize that African science has had these concepts all along. What we have to realize, though, is our own greatness. So if I have any message for you tonight, that's what it is. We have to realize that we don't have to worry about racism or any of that. If we get our stuff together, it's all over. And by the way, I need to give one more shout out. I work for the Crusader newspaper, so if you've ever seen the Crusader, I do the editorial cartoons, do the editorials, I do the calendars. I've been working for the Crusader since 1980. I do all the editorial cartoons and what have you that you see. So support the Black press. Thank you. And thank you so much, Yasiru.
They trying to remember where they remember each other from the beginning and what agency they worked for first. Y'all clap it up for our sister. We're so thankful that our journeys have passed, our paths have crossed, and that we have had these opportunities to learn from such greatness. One of the takeaways that I got in terms of what's happening, I think that was wonderful what you said, Mama. Last weekend I got about 50 phone calls after July 4th, and people were calling me from all over the country asking, Sister Africa, what's happening in Chicago? 100 people shot, what are you gonna do? And I'm so thankful to hear what my sister just said. All we have to do is internalize and recognize our greatness, right? We don't have to do the woe is me and be stressed, as Brother Olaminji said, that is distressed. Lots and lots of takeaways. Let's make sure we're tuning in and we're having these takeaways from these great moments from our great ones in the room. Let's clap it up for our honorees, everybody. Our next honoree, keep the claps coming. Our brother, the brother that made me cry earlier, I had to go to the bathroom and get my face together. Our brother Hunter Adams, won't you come up and receive your award? Brother, you see him on 63?
So here comes my friend, Hunter Adams. And Hunter has been a friend, a colleague, a supporter. When I was a professor at DePaul University, he would be a frequent guest to one of the courses I taught called Ancient Wisdom versus Modern Science. And we would get into things like the meaning of the movie, The Matrix, and we would be breaking down all of the symbolism and the metaphysics and all this kind of stuff, right? And and I've always admired him for his knowledge as a neuroscientist. So he understands the science of the brain, the science of the nervous system, and also the science of consciousness, which is very important, okay? And so, Brother Hunter Adams, you know, I said I was gonna, try to find some little jokes to say, because I like kind of dark humor, right? And so, over the last, months, maybe a year, a little bit over a year, we've been very worried about Hunter Adams because he would post on Facebook that he's waiting in the emergency room for like 12 hours and nobody's coming to help him and stuff, And then you wouldn't hear from Hunter. He wouldn't post anything on Facebook for like weeks or something. We said, well, what happened to Hunter? Is he okay? And everybody was always like part of the chatter on Facebook. Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Is he okay? Because then he'll pop back up. Yeah, I'm okay. Here I am. So it was like a big relief that he's okay, that he's fine, and that he just keeps on ticking. He just keeps on pushing. And so, I just want to give this award to you, Hunter Adams, and hear what you got to say for yourself, and give us one of these, give us some of your wisdom.
Oh man, know I'm not in church today, but it's kind of like a church service here. So I'm going to be brief. I'm going to try to be brief anyway. When I first learned about this brother's Give Me Award, I said, for what? You know, why am I getting an award? You know, I mean, yeah, I got awards before, but I tell you one thing, one of the most beautiful things is when your own people recognize you, right? When your own people applaud you while you're living, right? Not after you're gone, while you're here right now. Because life is the greatest gift. Let me rephrase that. Conscious life is the greatest gift, right? And I found out that this whole idea of transcendence, Brother Yasir, the whole idea of discovering the divinity within us that is us goes back 300,000 years near Johannesburg, South Africa. I got the documents. It's been written about, talked about. Okay? And so I just want to give a shout out to a couple of people who have invested in me, and thank you, Olamenji. You know, certainly Dr. Bobby E. Wright, because he's the one that said, well, honey, you need to study the brain. Right? I'm in high energy physics. I never thought about neuroscience until when I went to graduate school in London. The textbook had a picture on the cover of the meta-nature or kinetic word for brain, because neuroscience started the objective science of studying the brain and consciousness started in Kemet. Don't take my word for it. You can go right over to the Oriental Institute and see the Edward C. Smith papyrus, right? Where neurosurgery was done 4,000 years ago, 2,500 years before the Hippocratic Oath. But the white folks, Eric Kandel, Nobel Prize winner, on the cover of their book, Principles of Neuroscience, had the meta-nature symbol for brain on it. And when you reverse it, you have the meta-nature symbol SIA, which means consciousness and awareness. So there was no mind-body split. Okay? So I want to give honor to Dr. Bobby, right? To Brother Phil Karan, right? Because, you know, in the 70s, at the Afro-Austin, we said, well, honey, you know, you can't study anything unless you study everything, because that's the African way, right? And so he really, you know, I was a frustrated saxophone player, but that's a whole other story. But Phil Karan was a master, you know, who still really doesn't get his due, right? He played with Sun Ra, right? One of the most creative forces in music, period, full stop. Right? He said, because the possible is done, I'm going to do the impossible. And right now, it seems like the impossible is for Africans to be free. Right? But Curtis Mayfield said, Africa, we're a winner.
That's right.
Everybody say, we're a winner. We can do this. And the last person is Dr. Patricia Ann Newton, a dear friend and colleague for 40 years, one of the founders of the Black Psychiatrists of America, transcultural psychiatry, who did workshops on trauma all over the world, right? And so she made her transition suddenly last September. And so I have renamed the organization that the two of us started around 20 years ago in her honor, the Patricia Ann Newton Institute of Trauma and Healing. So it's going to be launched on May And I'm going to leave you with this. I want everyone to stand up for a moment. Please stand up. As my sister from Brazil sang these beautiful kinetic yoga songs, I want everyone to learn one of the first kinetic poses, you see, right? That goes back 20,000 years at least. 20,000 years. In Chad, right? It's very simple. This is the cow, right?
Yeah.
Not hands up, don't shoot.
Come on.
No. This is the cow symbol. And there's some pictures of two dancing women, hands raised, with a halo over their head, saying that they are light, right? That they have connected with the light within themselves, the light within the universe. That's what the Ka is. Okay, I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm just so, you'll find when you look very carefully at African rock art, you see many of the same kinetic poses, right? So this is before there was an Indian. You know, no disrespect, because they took things to a level based on their cultural experiences. But we have to honor ourselves, that we're the source, and we're reclaiming that. And with that, thank you so very much.
We so honored. Thank you, Baba Hunter. Sharing those stories. My takeaway, consciousness and awareness. Consciousness and awareness. We need more of that. Thank you, Baba. Our next brother that should be making his way, no stranger to any of us. You hear his voice all the time. WVON and What's in it for the Black People Media. Here he comes, Brother Salim Muwakil. We so thankful for you. Breaking everything down for us like nobody else can.
So Brother Salim Muwakil, and I know he don't remember me from way back in the day, but I remember him because he was the man. I know he was the editor of Muhammad Speaks. He's very, listening to him speak is almost like listening to Harold Washington, because he got all these words that be confusing certain folks, right? It was, you know, because you remember back in the war days when Harold Washington was the mayor, and he would be talking, and the white dudes in the city council be saying, what did he say? They had to go get a dictionary and a thesaurus to figure out what the hell he just said. And that's the lead. You know, so I'm always listening to him. I've been listening to him for a long time because I'm a politics junkie. And I've been listening to him, reading him in various newspapers and places like that. And then over the last maybe year or so, he's been inviting me to come onto his show. And I was like, wow, he's inviting me to come onto his show. And I was like, you know, very honored. So we've got to be, you know, we got to have a nice vibe, energy together. And so I know that he's received accolades and stuff like that, but I wanted to give him my own so that, you know, I can show him my appreciation and you can never get too many, especially from your own folks. So I want to thank Brother Salim. He's always, I used to always see him on the music scene at the different music festivals, sitting in the grass and stuff like that. You know, I thought that's Salim guy. You know, so he's still here, and I'm really honored to be able to present this award to him.
Appreciate that. It's almost, when I got noticed that I was getting this award, I said, well, this brother kind of reached into my consciousness and picked out a special spot, because kinetic yoga represents something very special to me. In a lot of ways, my life is kind of the greatest hits of the black movement at this point. I saw Malcolm when I was a young kid. He was the cat who kind of inspired me to reach for black greatness. And then after Malcolm, you know, I also was at the 63 March that King put together. I went there for other reasons than civil rights. We heard there'd be a whole lot of fine young ladies there, and that was correct. But I was there, and I caught the spirit of the civil rights movement while I was there. So that was another big spot. Then I went to the Vietnam War, which was another hot spot of the movement. It triggered a lot of animosity, provoked Muhammad Ali to become the icon that he became. And after that, after the service, where I received a gunshot from a white motel owner, which kind of soured me in many ways. And right after I left the service, I became a member of the Black Panther Party. I burned my uniform before I joined the Black Panther Party. And immediately after I left the service, I became a member of the party. I stayed in the party for a while, and then I became a member of the Nation of Islam. So you see what I'm saying? I was the greatest hits of the black movement. I became a member of the Nation of Islam, where I eventually became the editor of Muhammad Speaks newspaper, which was one of the largest black-owned publications in the nation. And its successor, The Final Call, is continuing that tradition in a noble way. So what I'm saying is that much of my life has been this quest for a black identity that was that transcended the identity we were socialized to be. That Negro, that injured, crippled creature created by the legacy of slavery, which is what many of us have been socialized to be. We've been socialized for subservience, and that has been the role we played. And so my quest was to do away with that role, to find another role, to find another identity, another black identity that was more heroic, was more prosperous, more profound, and more potential laden. What I eventually discovered in my quest was this quest for consciousness. I found that seeking black identity was a powerful thing. But ultimately, our true identity is a divine identity. Our true identity is really, it transcends our black identity. And as I became much more invested in finding our spiritual identity, I began to say, well, maybe this quest for black identity is a search for fool's gold. Maybe I'm going in the wrong direction. Maybe I've been socialized in a way to make me act as a compensatory effort to create an identity that's not really authentic. It's a compensatory identity to take care of the destruction and the socialized subservience that we were shaped to be. But then I started hearing about these issues of non-dual spirituality and light, Taoism, Zen Buddhism, those traditions that pointed us toward this spiritual identity and it seemed to shun our black identity. It seemed to shun our ancestral heritage. Then Brother Garcia came along, Kemetic yoga, and not just Garcia, but as Brother Hunter pointed out earlier, Brother Sun Rock, There have been hints throughout our history that there's a deeper level of consciousness that is found in African spirituality that we need to dig into. Helps us understand that it transcends all of these provisional identities that we've been given. And Kemetic yoga is really the climax. It's the consummation of that understanding. That we as African people, we're the prototype of humanity. The expression of human identity happened on that continent that we call Africa now. And our consciousness, our sensibilities are the human template. The entire human population is based on our perception of the universe. And that is the identity that I'm seeking. That is the African identity that I'm seeking. And there's no contradiction between that essential identity and our African identity. And one of the ways that we can get back to that understanding is Kemetic yoga. And so therefore, I'm extremely happy that this brother found it in his heart to award me, because, as I say, it seems as if he reached into my consciousness to pull this out, because Kemetic yoga is really the consummation of many of these containing impulses that have defined my life. So thank you, my brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brother Salim. Muwakil. And I just want to, people were asking me, some of the awardees were asking me, like, what should they say? And, I rarely, prepare to say things, and I figured that people who are sort of a like spirit as mine, they don't really need to have something prepared to say. They can just speak from their consciousness and let everything flow. And so I'm really glad that we have this extremely strong articulation of spiritual and intellectual audacity. I'm going to talk like Celine now. So our next awardee is somebody who's very close to the Kemetic yoga movement and who has been influencing the global Kemetic yoga movement. In the southern hemisphere, in the biggest country of the southern hemisphere, in the country that has the second largest black population on the planet Earth, which is Brazil. And when I say black population, I mean outside of Africa, right? Because, just for knowledge's sake, India has the highest black population outside of Africa. 400 million black people live in India. And then 100 million people live in Brazil. Okay, 100 million black folks. And so, Rosangela, she's come to Chicago years ago to take classes, to be with us out on the lakefront in our early, get-togethers that we did out there. You came to Jamaica too, right? So she came to Jamaica to get her certification. We do a teacher training course in Jamaica twice a year. We've been doing that for years. And Rosangela she was trying to get me to come to Brazil for years. And she's somebody who's building an institution. Like in Chicago, in the US, we have the Institute of Kinetic Yoga, which is a fairly new institution, not-for-profit organization. And we're doing the work to try to promote kinetic yoga. And Rosangela created something along with the other folks in Brazil called Casa de Ma'at. And Casa de Ma'at means the house of Ma'at. And Ma'at is the ancient African, ancient Kemetic concept that the nature of the universe is one of balance, harmony, justice, order, and reciprocity. Okay? And so, so I just want to bring Rosangela up. In Brazil, she is known as Mama Rosa, or Rosa, as they say. And, she is a tremendous person who is doing tremendous work. And I'm very happy to give her this award, which is not a lifetime achievement award, even though she's been doing this stuff her whole lifetime. But it's for her tremendous contribution to the global Kemetic yoga movement. That's what I call it. It's a global Kemetic yoga movement. And not to be long-winded, but one of the reasons why I call it the global Kemetic yoga movement is because no matter what country I go to or communicate with black people, it could be in South Africa, it could be in Democratic Republic of Congo, it could be in Ethiopia, it could be in Tanzania, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Brazil, Jamaica, Barbados. You find black people who are wearing monks around their neck and who are taking on Kemetic names. Because black people all over this planet are viewing Kemet, ancient Egypt, as being their classic civilization from which the global African consciousness emerged. Okay, so it's the most well-known civilization, not the first civilization, but the most well-known ancient African civilization. Okay, so thank you, Mama Rosa.
It's an honor to be here, and very hard to find words to express the gratitude to receive such a beautiful and powerful recognition from my master. Someone that I admire and has taught me and trusted me so much to bring this movement alive to Brazil. And it's so many people that is part of this, who I am, who I become today. And as I was flying from Boston to here, I was thinking about my journey. And it has been a decade since I learned about Kemet, about my history, about my legacy, the truth. And I am 58. And the things that I accomplished community-wise, just for a decade, it shows the power that our mind has to change our reality, change our prospect, how we see the world, how we see the connection. And as I was flying here, I was thinking, what if I have learned this when I was 3 years old? What if every child learned about the truth in such a young age? So the system took a lot from us, and it's about we have to reconnect in Kemetic yoga. was the tool that helped me to bring this to my community in Brazil. So my community is watching now, and my family probably is watching now. So my mother is 93 years old. So for my family, for my community, for my master, yes, thank you for allowing me to become who I am today. And learn through kinetic yoga, I can see in my community, a sister last week called me and she actually sent me a video. Her 2 years old son, who she have said, well, every time that we have a meeting online with the community, she say, oh, I have to put my son in another room. And then I say to her, let him stay with you. Let him watches you. Even if he's doing other things, let him be. Don't take the children, he is alone. When we do the training there, it's kids all around. Let them watch. They may are not going to sit and stay all the time and watch, but they are paying attention their own way. And just last week, she sent me a video, 2 years old son. He crossed his leg, put his hand together, closed his eyes and said, yoga. And she was like so shocked that she take it from me. And that's what I was thinking when I was flying here. We can do this. We can. And it is about having the way to teach the kids, the youth, because it's beautiful. They like beauty. We don't need to say much, because when we do the pose, when we get into the physiology and the spirituality of kinetic yoga, in one way or another, we're going to feel. Because the memory is within us. So yes, Ramadhan, thank you so much. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being willing to go every year to Brazil and bring this to my community. To my community in Brazil who is watching, we can do this. To my family, to my friends, to my teacher, thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you, Mama Rosa. And I would go to Brazil like every other week. Because Brazil is what's happening. Okay.
Have Jewel come back up, and then we have some special award presentations. As Jewel is making her way back up, can we have Sister Rebecca and Sister Saidia make their way up as well? Don't be surprised, just come on up.
Come on, Rebecca. Come on, Saidia. Really? Come on up. Dope sister. Another dope sister. We watching on Facebook, working all hard. It ain't like what we sit gonna say about you, okay? Okay? Anyway, Saidia, I'm always watching you. I told you, I'm always watching you. Always pouring into you, always giving back. And you, from the first time I met you, experience, about my first experience, me being out there at the Yoga Fest, and I was probably kind of stressed out, and you came and spoke to me and was like, just take some breaths, you're gonna get through it. Is there anything you need me to do? And then he was like, where do you need me to go? And the other help I need, you've always been helpful to me, and I love you all for that. It's what keeps me going when I do think about giving up on the next day before the festival or the awards. I'm like, I'm quitting, I'm gonna tell them I'm not gonna work with them, but I find myself still doing community. I'm just playing, they know it.
Okay, so what I wanted to do, like we have 6,000 instructors all over the world, and so it's very hard, it's really impossible to find just one or two people to give an award to because of their outstanding teaching and contribution to kinetic yoga as teachers. So, but I had to go deep into my meditation, and I had to say Rebecca as Saidea, the therapy lady, the breath worker lady, and Saidea, she came to Jamaica to get her certification. I gotta always tell a story, right? So we went swimming in a river, the whole group of people, and Saidea, yeah, so we was, I'm gonna tell both sides. So Saidea, we went swimming in this river, and you're supposed to go under the water and go through a hole in the rock and go to the other side and come up. But Saidea, she missed the hole and she bumped into the rock, and she was sort of like floundering there for a little while until she got her bearings. Because she wear kind of thick glasses, so she didn't see where she was at. So I just found that very funny, because she was sort of stuck. So we had to, anyway, I'm not going to exaggerate it. And, but Saidea is one of our great teachers. She is always, like spontaneously, automatic, ready to be of service to the kinetic yoga community. I have never asked her to do a service for us when she has said no, or I'm too busy, or I can't make it. She's always there on the spot, teaching children, adults, seniors, whoever. She also works with my teacher, Dr. Azar Hapi, learning and servicing people in terms of the science of breath, helping people to heal. She also, her name is Saidea Therapy Lady, so that's why she calls herself the Therapy Lady, because she's always doing therapy on people. I've been kind of getting a therapeutic session myself, but it's been kind of hard to, yeah, everybody. But when it comes to yoga, she be there on the spot, okay? So I want to give this award to Saidea.
Okay. I'm shocked, but I'm very pleasantly shocked. I just want to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much. Just looking at all my elders that just came up here, I'm a product of you all. I always look for the elders to assist me and guide me. I mean, when I was yes, that was my daughter and my niece that came up here to set the form. And I met this year back and maybe 2 years ago, I was pregnant. And that's when I first learned up kinetic yoga. Then I came to Chicago. I was here for a while. And I did get in touch with him then. And then I accidentally bumped into him at Whole Foods. He was like, hey, you been here? I was like, yeah, I got with you. But I didn't, but that's okay. I'm with you now. But the reason why I bumped into that rock, okay,
I had vitiligo for that time, and I was always trying to cover up my face. And so, because I had to go in the water, under the water, I was very insecure about my looks without my makeup. So that I would not come up and not put my glasses on real quick. So that's why I bumped into the rock, because I was like, oh, that hurts. You're gonna try to get up now. So before I got up, I couldn't put my glasses on, I was embarrassed. So that's my side of the story. There's always his side, her side, and the truth, right? Okay, but anyway. But I just want to say, I enjoy helping people to heal. I enjoy being a conduit. I enjoy allowing myself to learn. And I truly enjoy being able to just share my gifts with my daughters, with the little people. I love the little people, the young people, because I was given a humble beginning with my family organization for Black Struggle back in St. Louis with Jamala Rogers, Baba Two, Charles Murphy, that's my father. A long history of activists that have taught me from the beginning what it is to love yourself as a Black woman, as Black people, and to always give back to your community. Now, I don't always agree with everyone and their style. They don't always agree with my style. All I know is that when studying with Dr. Azar Hapi, meeting Dr. Bobby Yusir, and then also working with other elders, that they are truly amazing. They have taught me, and they are continuing to groom me for when it's like passing the torch. Dr. Azar Hapi has taught me about breath work, and that's why a lot of people now think of me as the breath lady, because I truly understand the value now. When you look at kinetic yoga and you look at breath, that's the very first thing that we're supposed to do. And from there, once breath is connected, then you're allowed to move in your alignment, and then you're allowed to really connect with the source and that part of yourself. And I just want to say, I'm just thankful. And I pray to continue to do the work with my ancestors. I pray to continue to do the work with my elders. This is a beautiful sight for me, because I was brought up to respect your elders first. And that's it. So with that, I leave you all. Thank you very much. Ashe.
Okay, our next award is going to go to your last name, to Rebecca Hubbard, and I don't really know. Like, my mind doesn't really work in a linear or logical type of way, so I don't really remember a lot of details about things. I remember energy and feelings and just energy. And so I know that Rebecca is a doctor of psychology, and she's a very serious-minded practitioner and teacher of kinetic yoga. She's involved with doing therapy with young people and other people too, right? Yeah, most of the adults, but some young people too, young adults. And, so she's traveled to Kemet with us to participate in our certification program that we do there in Egypt, and also to Jamaica to participate in that one. And she's one of the people that practices kinetic yoga in the correct manner. So she does her poses perfectly. She pays attention to detail, because one of the main tenets of kinetic yoga is mindfulness. And so being able to duplicate the postures the way that they are done on the walls of the temples is important. Okay, it's fundamental. And so Rebecca is a great practitioner and a great teacher. And she's also, we formed a organization, the Institute of Kinetic Yoga. And Rebecca agreed to be on our board, to be one of our board members. And through thick and thin, up and down, she had stayed on the board, like some other people. And Rosangela is also one of our board members too. So I just want to give this award to Sister Rebecca Hubbard. And before I finally give this to her, on our trip to Egypt, there was a point in time where she was kind of upset. And what happened was that the guy she was dating back then had saw a picture of me and her sitting, sitting next to each other on the plane. So some kind of way he thought something else was happening. And so that relationship didn't last because Rebecca don't take no mess like that from nobody. And so now she has a husband who is worthy of this beautiful life. He's not jealous. And so I want to give you this award and thank you for allowing me to tell that story.
Thank you. I am humbled and very grateful. Grateful for the practice, and Baba Yasir is right, I do take it very seriously. That trip to Kemet and learning the sequences and postures transformed my life. And so that's why I take it so seriously, because I know how powerful it is. Especially when we practice the way that our ancestors inspired Yasir and Dr. Asir Habib to share the practice with us. I'm invested in sharing the truth, and I feel like when we learn the truth, it's our responsibility to share it. So in many ways, I don't feel like the award is something that is because of some tremendous accomplishment. I really feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm grateful to be in the presence of such powerful elders. I have been fortunate to have mentors along the way of my graduate school and undergraduate career who taught me about Bobby Wright, who shared teachers like Naeem Akbar with me, or many others who have influenced me beyond what the standard curriculum was supposed to be. And so to be in the same room with people who have shared space with such powerful people is truly humbling. So thank you so much for the award. Thank you for allowing me to be part of the community.
Thank you. And I want to acknowledge some of our other board members. Sister Yiska, is she still here? Mama Yiska, maybe she's not here no more. But Yiska Radcliffe is our vice president of the board. Brother Jelinski Brown, he started off as our board president. Effie Baldwin, she was our treasurer. Sister Michelle Seaton, she's our attorney who helped to put everything in place. All of these people are certified kinetic yoga teachers. Brother Torian is another one of our board members. Who? Oh, Ryan, who lives in Birmingham, England. He's one of our board members. Ryan, my name be going, but Brother Ryan Patah, as he likes to be called, Patah. I'm missing somebody. That's it? Yeah. Okay, I got everybody again. So, we have 2 more awards to give, and we're going to hold off on those until tomorrow. Matter of fact, let's do it, and then we're going to have to do it twice. Because in the past year, we had 2 giants pass away from our community, in the martial arts community. And martial arts and yoga have always been connected, right? The brothers who do martial arts, years ago, they had a place on the west side of Chicago called the Horizon West, right? And all the brothers from all over the United States and probably internationally, who were the top brothers in martial arts, they would get together, they would do an exhibition. And in the beginning of this exhibition that they would do, I guess it was annually, they would invite my teacher, Dr. Azar Hapi, to participate in the yoga demonstration. And later on, when Dr. Hapi sort of started doing other things, they started to invite me. And so I would come and do yoga demonstration. I was very happy to be in the presence of all of these esteemed masters of martial arts. Some of them who were doing martial arts from an African perspective. And so, I hope I'm not messing up the name, but it's Kupigani Ngumi? Kupigani Ngumi. Yes. And so, these brothers were tremendous. One brother who passed away recently is Brother Master Naganga Tolona. And he was I didn't know none of these brothers real closely, but he was a brother who was one of the prime movers, if not the mover, within the African martial arts movement, one of the developers of the Kupigani Ngumi, and he was the brother who I took my sons to when they were very young to start to learn martial arts. And he connected them with Brother Baba Vita, who also made his transition some years ago. And so as a result of the connection with Brother Tolona and then Baba Vita, my sons, my twin sons, became masters of in their field, which was like, Kung Fu and doing the acrobatics. Because Baba Vita was a master of the acrobatics. And so eventually we're going to get around to honor him. And then Brother Kalindi Iyi, he was another brother from Detroit. Tolona is from the Chicago area. Brother Kalindi is from the Detroit area. And he was also a master of African martial arts. When I say African martial arts, I mean that he went to Africa and he studied with the masters in Africa. And he said he would go to Africa, he would ask the people, he would say, can you show me your martial arts? And they would say stuff like, well, what is martial arts? And so he would have to describe to them, it's how you fight, and defend yourself, how you do combat, hand-to-hand combat, or using weapons, right? So they said, oh, okay, yeah, we got all that kind of stuff. So he has traveled all over Africa, and he has put together, how Africans do their own forms of martial arts, totally separate from anything from China, right? And so I want to just give some praise and some honor to these 2 brothers, Master Naganga Tolona and Master Kalindi I want to have Brother Olaninji come up and accept these, accept these awards. And then when their sons come tomorrow for the workshop, which will be performed by Khalil Masi, then we would give the award again. But since we're streaming now, I wanted to have Brother come up, and let's take a picture with the awards. And again, these brothers are like giants, probably most people have not heard of them, but they're like gigantic people who have made tremendous contributions to the planet Earth through their efforts. You want to say something?
Nganga Talona was my instructor. I started out when he was teaching in Chicago Heights, a number of us, and Nganga's whole thing was to take what was ours and put it in the system so that we would be able to claim it culturally and do what we needed to do. Now, that didn't mean that we didn't study other systems, because Talona was a pragmatist, but his main thing was to develop this system of African martial arts. And it's unfortunate, but again, this is the time when we're losing the great ones. But his son is a powerful young man. And so, on behalf of the family, friends, associates, I accept this award in their names, and tomorrow they'll be here to get it. And you all really need to support this young man, his son. He's also writing in the book that I commanded. You got Hunter here who's writing in the book. You've got Dr. Kamal Rashid back there who's writing in the book. And this is a book of legacy, because a lot of us are mature and time goes how time goes. So his son is writing about his father in the book. And then Kalende. This is another powerful brother. And these people were pioneers, because when we started dealing with this, people wouldn't deal with Africans and martial arts. They figured they were all Chinese until people did the homework. And then they saw, oh, okay. So I accept this on behalf of his family, colleagues, and associates. Thank you.
So I want to thank everybody who stayed for this long time to the end of our session. And, I think we still got a few minutes, and the DJ want to crank up the DJ machine, the music machine. And I know y'all probably ready to start dancing. I know Hunter is ready to start dancing and stuff, I told the DJ to play some soul music, so I expect Hunter to get up and start doing the boogaloo or something like that. Something from back in the day when he was young. Watusi. Okay, I knew he had something up in there. Okay. So again, thank you to everybody. Thank you to our photographer, Mr. David McDuffie. And everybody should come up and take pictures in front of the Step and Repeat. He would take pictures, and you could use your cell phone to take pictures of yourself. And let's not forget about that, because it was a lot of work to put that thing together. So make sure you take a picture in front of it.
Okay. We wrapping it up. The DJ gonna throw some good music on. If you all can take the place and stuff like that and help me clean up, that'll be great. Now tomorrow, can you say it for me? Soul Yoga Fest. I can't hear it. Soul Yoga Fest. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's free, and I want to see all y'all outside tomorrow. Cause guess what? We didn't get no rain.
I thought it started at 9.
See, Kiki.
Rebecca's
Kiki.
class starts at 9.
Those who have signed up online for that schedule for beginners classes. Okay, I just want you to know. But those who are going to be in the beginners classes with Rebecca, it does start at 9 a.m. And the majority of those who are going to be in class have signed up online, okay? Anybody have any questions for me? You go ahead, DJ, and play some music.
This is my house, and this is my party. And if you don't want to stay in the party, you can find you somewhere else to go tonight, because we're going to boogie here all night.